Okay, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Strategy Game Podcast. I am so excited for this conversation today because this is one of my very close friends, Jes Royston. So, Jes, thank you for being here.
Thank you. I'm honored. I love your podcast so much. So I can't believe that I'm speaking on it instead of listening to it. So
We
excited.
are so excited. She has been a part of one of our masterminds. I've watched her business grow, and you've been an entrepreneur for over 10 years, Jes. So, can you just tell us a little bit about where your journey started and how? Because your story really connects the dots on the identity-based strategy piece that we talk a lot about. Pain turns into purpose. So, can you share about your story and how this transpired, how you got into this space?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. It really is the pain for the purpose. And when you have that behind what you want to do as entrepreneurs, it pushes you forward because you know you're going in the right direction. So I had graduated college. I was working as an accessory designer in New York City. I love my job, but it was very long hours, very stressful projects. And I had a almost 4 hour total commute in and out of New York City every day.
Wow.
So because of that, I was drinking a heck of a lot of coffee and not eating a ton of healthy food, just because it was almost impossible to do with that kind of schedule. So I started getting sick and I was getting these stomach pains, and I went to all these books that I had read when I was little, and there was an interest in nutrition somewhere. But when that time period when I got ill, I said, I'm going to figure this out on my own. No doctors could give me answers anyway. So I went, and through this process, I discovered a love of nutrition, a love of just holistic wellness. And then through that, I found a school in New York City down the block from where my office building was that had this new job that 10 years ago wasn't even existed at that point. And it was a holistic health coach. And so once I kind of figured out what was wrong with me and healed myself through foods and all these different modalities, I said, man, I gotta do this for the world. I gotta do this for my career. I gotta help empower other people to do that. So when I got pregnant with my first son, I enrolled in nutrition school, and soon after left my 9 to 9 job in New York, and I got myself healthy, and I've been health coaching ever since.
Really, really crazy. Wow, that's amazing. And so you've been on this entrepreneurial journey, right? Tell us where you started versus where you are today in terms of like the offerings, because every entrepreneur knows that it's such a winding road and it can be ever changing, right? And morphing. And so for you, it certainly has been the same, no different, right? The same as with StoryWork for me. So can you tell us a little bit about that journey of like how you started versus where you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. So as soon as my son was born and I left my other job, I started just doing one-on-one health coaching at places around my town in New Jersey. I went to gyms, I went to yoga studios, but it was very unclear who I really wanted to serve. At that point, I honestly just said, like, I'll help anyone. You know, I didn't feel like anybody needs help, I'll help them. But I found through the process that when I talked to new moms, because that's where I was in life, I said, like, these are the people that my heart just wants to help, because there's so much going on when you have a baby or you have toddlers or you have elementary school kids. And as I'm growing and the same stages as most of my clients are, that's where I felt led. So I used to just do one-on-one coaching. Online memberships weren't a thing back then. I didn't really know how to run a nutrition program. So the first couple of years, I kind of was just scattered and I would try all these different things. And then over the past, I would say 5 years since I moved down to Florida, I really found my target market was just moms and women. I just love talking to them. Not saying I won't help other people, but those are the people who, when they sit in my office, I'm like, yes. We're right. Yeah, absolutely. And so based on that, I had my offerings where I did one-on-one coaching, and I had always dreamed about doing an online membership, but I didn't feel like there was a space for it until COVID hit. And then our office closed and the world went online, right? So through the help of our masterclass, I built this online membership where it didn't matter if people did not live in Palm Beach County, Florida. I could help them in this virtual portal where moms could come in when they needed advice. We do coaching calls, and everything was more accessible. So That's kind of where it morphed. I still do see people. I was really, really fortunate to pair up with a functional medicine practice down here. So we kind of have like a one-stop shop wellness, and I will see clients one-on-one. But the online membership is now, just as fruitful as the one-on-one coaching. So it gives my clients more options. If they still want to stay home and do Zoom calls, they can do that. And if they want to come into the office, they can do that too.
That's really good. I love that. Okay. So, this is so interesting. I think there's trends here, and not, even nonprofit founders, entrepreneurs, business owners can relate to this. It's like that first few year period where you're like, I know I have a passion. I know I want to do something in this space, but you have to go and test it out. You have to go and get the clients in the door. You have to see what works, what doesn't work. It's more one-on-one, it's smaller scale. And then what you did really over time was move this into something that you narrowed your target, right? So you know that you started with a broad net and you narrowed it down to women and really moms, right? You were able to narrow that down. And then you were able to say, okay, how can I serve them best? What platforms can I serve them best on, right? Which is still some of the one-on-one if it's more exclusive, but then also through your membership. And then you were able to say, how can I scale this over time, right? And that all is a journey that we know that's a whole other beast. It's a whole other animal. And so that's where the membership came in, and also the seasonal challenges that you're leading 4 times a year. So can you tell us a little bit about that? Because that's really, I think the seasonal challenge, if we're talking about the marketing funnel, is really a lead generator, because they're coming to you because they want a quick fix and they want a quick outcome. And we all know that that's not always possible, but they will get results with your seasonal challenge. And then you want them to truly get well and continue the journey. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But tell me about the seasonal challenge and what that does for people.
Absolutely. So yeah, 4 times a year, I run a seasonal challenge. And to put it very simply, it's a 14-day whole foods, plant-based program. I give all the recipes, I give suggested meal plans, and what I want to uncover for each of my clients that participate in that is, where do you need to make changes in your life? So yes, like you said, Lauren, you're going to get, you're probably going to drop some weight. You're going to clean out your system. Your coffee addiction might get under control. Cravings go away. So all these things that I think a person needs to see, like, oh man, eating real food really does make me feel better. So they get that in that first 2 weeks, but then I help them through that program uncover, what other changes do you need to make? Do you have other health habits that aren't spoken about a lot that we need to talk about? Are you using toxic products in your home that you don't even realize? So it's more of a learning platform where I have people really reevaluate everything they're doing from dawn to dusk and seeing if those habits are really serving what their goals are. And from there, a lot of them enter into the membership. Some of them will do one-on-one counseling if they feel like they need a little bit more help. And it just gets them to kind of start thinking, all right, where do I really need to begin? What's the first step that I can take that will change my health and my family's health?
Yeah. And that's so good, because all of us need a reset. And I know you do this 4 times a year. And really, those are the rhythms that we move through, right? We tend to evaluate ourselves, 2 to 4 times a year, I would say, is when we really naturally pull back and look at everything and say, hey, in my parenting or in my marriage or in my friendships or my relationships or whatever it may be, my health, all these things, you're doing this in your mind, but this puts a process to it. This really allows you to just take this 2 weeks. It's a short period of time, so it's attainable, and say, what do I need to look at? What do I need to adjust? And then from there, once you're equipped with that knowledge and you see what the issues are, then you can move forward into the next phase to change that and really get the change that you need through the membership, through one-on-one coaching. And now, most recently, we are announcing something really exciting. It is officially pre-order day of very first book, God Wants You Well. So I want you to talk about why you wrote this book, because this is just equipping people with really a way to get all of the knowledge that you've acquired over this decade plus with treating people all across the board. You've now put it into a book. So tell us why you wrote it.
Yes, thank you. So I've always wanted to write a nutrition book. It was always something that was kind of deep down in my heart, but I kept coming to the conclusion, well, what else could you put out there that's not already out in the marketplace? There's a book on everything. There's celebrities writing nutrition books. There's every doctor is writing a nutrition book. And I did a spiritual fast through our church back in July of last summer. And through that process of really just, like you said, Lauren, just resetting and putting some time and some boundaries around really what God wanted me to do next, I realized that what I was missing in the book that I had in my heart was him. So he has a very clear guideline for us, biblically speaking, of how he wants us well and things to do that I had really uncovered after I started this process. And that was the missing link. So what happened when I finally put those pieces together is I was obedient, and I woke up every morning and just wrote. And the stuff that was in my head, like you said, all those 10 years of, I've helped this person with this. And I remember when this client had this, it all just flowed out into a format that anyone could pick up, whether they've never read a nutrition book before, whether they are in the nutrition field, whether they've ever picked up the Bible or not. You don't have to have any prior knowledge of any of this. You can read it, and within 12 weeks, you can really make tangible changes that you'll see physically, mentally, and spiritually. And so it all kind of came together in this, 300 pages of what was in here, and it came out, and I had an awesome team around me to perfect it. And it's available today. It's crazy. I can
on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. Go pre-order it right now. It's amazing.
Thank you. It's nuts.
Oh man, I'm so proud. I'm so excited for you, and I know that it's such a journey. And I know that it's like another birth, essentially. How much you pour into this, and how hard you've worked, and a couple things there that I think are great to point out for our listeners. So in the strategy masterclass, I talked about this. One of the foundational components of that class, before you even get to your strategy, your business strategy, are habits. And so through our habits, we are able to truly do things that we didn't think we could do, and we're able to accomplish goals. And so through the process of faithfully waking up every morning, and that also takes surrender. That also takes saying, okay, I'm going to do this because I'm hearing this, and I believe I am set on a mission to do this. And so you were faithful in that. And then waking up early to be able to do that, because you also have kids and a family and all of the life things. And so a lot of times, either in the morning or in the night is when we can get that focus time. And so people probably hear me talk about this a lot, and I sound like a broken record, but it's so true, because it's the only way that I've seen people really have the time to be able to process things really clearly, especially right now in the world. There are so many distractions. This is more important than it ever has been in our lifetime, for sure. And so I think you faithfully waking up and then letting the words flow up and out of you onto these pages so faithfully has created something that is truly amazing. And what's great about it is it's the blend of story, experience, knowledge and research, and also humor, because you have a great sense of humor. And it's so personal. So like you have the gift of really like just being friends with anyone that you come in contact with, and really making them feel at home and welcome and warm. And when you read this book, that's how you feel. So, I mean, I haven't read all of it. Mine is on pre-order, but I've read the first couple chapters. And so, in that, I think it's truly a gift if you're looking for this process to be able to say, okay, I want to know like all the things that I don't know. I want to get started. I want to get a baseline of, where I need to be, and then like a guide here. I think it's going to be such an invaluable tool for people all across the country. And I know that you have across the world. Why limit ourselves here?
I'll find someone to translate it.
So I know that you have a vision for this too. What is your ultimate vision for this new offering? Because we've talked about how, okay, from a business model perspective, you've gone from one-on-one coaching for all, right? And then one-on-one coaching for women and for new moms. And then the membership model, right? And the seasonal challenges. And now you have the book, and it's not just a book that individuals can read. It is, but there's a greater vision for that. So share a little bit about how you see that building a whole other community as well.
Absolutely. So it's funny, when I first moved down to Florida, I started doing small groups in our church, and I realized how powerful it was to get a group of women together and study a subject and then make changes together. There's like built-in accountability. There is just movement within those groups of people saying, I know how you feel and I struggle with this too. Let's do this together. And even through Palm Beach Women's Network, I mean, that's something where we all gather together and then we break out into smaller groups and we say, here's what we're struggling with right now. Let's help each other. So this idea for me, when I was really contemplating how to put this book together, was groups of women, either in church settings or on the beach or at networking groups or, my gosh, living rooms, anywhere, really doing this together and taking 12 weeks to just be together and to pray for each other and to make healthy snacks and share the recipes they're finding and laugh about, giving their kids new recipes and share all those stories so that it's not just someone sitting with a book alone feeling like, oh my gosh, this is overwhelming. Having other people say, hey, I tried this last week. Let's do this way together. So I really picture just groups of women all across the world studying this together and realizing the truths, that are in the Bible about our health and realizing the truths in themselves about what they need to change. Because I think that's the hardest part, is just saying, there might be some things that I need to change. And that's why, when we talk about seasonally, like you said, I would love the groups of women to then join the seasonal challenge. Because I'm a healthy eater, I have healthy habits, but once every 3 months, I need to do a check-in and say, absolutely, am I drinking enough water? Am I taking enough time off? That's a big one for me. Like all of these health habits that we see, they just go by the wayside. So when you have a reset period, you can give yourself, 3 months is not a long time of your life. That's one season, and you can completely transform the way you feel in that time if you give that effort. So I just think of people constantly going back to that, like 3 months. Okay, what great changes have I made? What have I stuck to? And what do I still need to do so that we just reach, higher levels of optimal health that, truthfully, I say throughout the whole book, we all deserve. We really all deserve to like feel and live our best every single day.
And it is possible and it is accessible. So absolutely good. Yeah. And you're giving people a way to connect with that. Now, we talked about some people, you might have been cringing at the part where she's talking about facing some things and, feeling overwhelmed or not wanting to admit some things. And that is okay if that's where you are. And this next question really speaks to that. What is the biggest holdback that you see in people knowing they need to make the changes to get well? So you talked a little bit about mindset in our written Q&A. What are the things with clients? What's the biggest holdback you see?
That's a great question. I think the biggest holdback is what they're going to be leaving behind. And it's a hard shift for them to think, well, what are you going to gain from it? So a lot of times I hear, I be able to do, wine night with my friends? What about my kid's birthday party? And all these things creep up. But what I'm teaching them is you don't ever have to, my lifestyle, let me not have a social life down here with my friends. There's no way I would do it. So you have to really think about, but what if you just remove some of the things that you're so worried about letting go, and then you see on the other side that you have less pain, you can sleep better, your stomach's not bothering you, like think about the benefits as opposed to just what we're leaving behind. And once that kind of like growth mindset sits in and you say like, well, yes, maybe I have to give up some things, but here's what I'll gain instead. That's where people really have those aha moments and say, I could sleep through the night if I just worked on my sugar intake. Something as simple as that, so it's not black and white of here's what you can never do again, here's what you have to do forever. It's what, there's a why behind why you want to feel better. Always. It's always there. There's something inside of us that just says we need to make a change, figuring out why, and then thinking about all the benefits instead of, well, what am I going to be missing out on? I think that's the big mindset shift that I see when people are really ready to take on new health habits.
That is so true and so good. What's one piece of advice you would give someone who's thinking about making these changes to their lifestyle? Like if they just want to take one small step today, what can they do?
Buy the book. And
well, obviously pre-order the book. That's a given because it will be your guide.
Yes, absolutely. No, but all kidding aside, I really think figuring out what your biggest pain is, and we speak about this in the business world too. What the biggest pain is. If you are feeling bloated all the time, that's your biggest pain. So figure out what needs to happen to stop that. If you're not sleeping through the night, figure out what habits you have to put into place. If you just feel like, man, I really haven't worked out in a while, or I haven't been able to take some time and figure out how to get this these stressful, anxious feelings away. Figure out what your biggest pain is, and then take just a small step towards that, like a really small. Don't, I see people like clean out their cupboards and throw away all this and get all new stuff. That's just going to be overwhelming.
Yes.
Just make one change at a time. And I even say throughout the book, at the end of every chapter, which in my head I was thinking, if you take on a chapter a week, at the end of every week, I give 5 what I call the make a change challenge list. And I just encourage people, just take one of those things. It could be drinking an extra glass of water a day.
Yep.
Something very, very simple. And then over time, those will add up to what's going to bring you into that optimal health range. But I would say really focusing and taking some time to really think, what's my biggest health challenge right now? What are you struggling with the most? And then figure out the answer to that and seek some help around that issue.
Yep, that is so good. Jes, thank you so much for being on this podcast. It was so much fun. You're incredible. And I can't wait to watch the journey. So we will drop the link to pre-order Jes's new book in the show notes. And we'll also drop the link to her seasonal challenge that's coming up here for you as well. Thanks so much,
Thank
Jes.
you so much, Lauren.